Hi everyone, I'm Gary Watson, and over the coming few weeks, right up to the 8th of October, we're going to be running an Issues special program so you can get to know some of the new people standing in both of our councils. Graham O'Brien is also going to be interviewing folks that are standing in Nelson and throughout the region. Today I'd like to welcome Kit Mayling. He is the candidate for Mayor for the Tasman District Council. Welcome along.
Thanks, Gary. Nice to see you.
Likewise. Now, just to put cards on the table, I am standing for council in the TDC in the Waimea, Moutere Waimea ward, and you'll hear a little bit more about that in the coming weeks. Right, water in the TDC area, it's always a touchy subject.
Certainly is.
What's the situation with water and where do you see the future for TDC? What's your vision?
Well, we've got a shortage of water storage, and I've been involved in the Waimea Community Dam project for over 12 years, first with Waiwak, and now at the moment I'm a director of the Waimea Community Dam. We need to store our water so that we've got water available in the dry times, and that's what we've got. And at the moment the government has got a fund that will help us build this dam, which will make a big difference.
But a person, say, over in rural Motueka or parts of Golden Bay that have their own water, and we know parts of Motueka have their own water, are they going to have to be paying for this dam?
My understanding is that if they're not a member of the water club, they won't be contributing, because this water is going to be both for irrigation and for town supply, which is a unique part of the design, because the government will assist irrigators with the Crown Irrigation Fund, but they won't assist for town supply.
Okay. In terms of town supply, does Nelson take any of its water? Is it going to be taking any of its water from the Lee Valley Dam?
Oh, they do now. They take groundwater from the Richmond Plains, which services Nelson South, and they also take water from the Roding.
Okay.
And their consent for that is up next year.
Okay.
So Nelson gets approximately 40% of its water from either the Roding or Richmond.
So would it be fair to say that it's in Nelson City Council's interest to also come in as a partner with the TDC on the dam?
Oh, I believe it's imperative that they do, and I've had brief discussions with Rachel Rees in relation to this, and their council has been briefed in the past in relation to this project, because it also affects our port and our airport, because all our exports go through there. Yeah. So it's very, very important from a regional perspective that we do this.
She didn't want you to move the dam somewhere else like Burger King or something?
No, okay. Definitely not Burger King. We looked at 27 sites for this dam, so we've spent a long time getting to a point. Rates,
do you think they should be linked to inflation?
No.
Why?
Well, at the moment you've got rates that are going up above inflation. Yep. We've got inflation at the moment at 0.4%. and Tasman rates have gone up 1%. Yep. If you look at the last 3 or 4 years, our rates are always going up above inflation. The way to control rates is to control what you do. And Tasman's problem there is, in the last 9 years, they've added 86 additional staff. That affects the rates affordability. Yep. Every staff member you've got, his position has to be critical, because we've got people that are saying they can't afford to stay in Tasman or in Richmond because their rates are so expensive.
So should inflation be the maximum that rates should ever increase? In other words, that the council needs to live within its means as well?
Yeah, I believe so. Or it should actually be less if you've planned well. If you look at interest rates that councils are paying for their money now, it's a lot cheaper. But we do need to make sure that we're focusing on core services, which a good example of that is stormwater. And there are issues in Richmond with their stormwater, and they've got a project to fix Queen Street, but there are real issues in Motueka at the moment with their stormwater not working. And to go and build a commercial building that costs 1.8 million and not have already fixed the stormwater issues in Motueka, I believe is criminal.
They haven't got their priorities right.
No.
The environment. How are we going with the environment? Some areas we're doing a pretty good job. Other areas we're a bit slack.
Well, there's some good improvements in the Ariri, where the dairy farmers over there have worked with conservation groups, and it's a model for the rest of the country. And then we've got other places, particularly our urban streams, where we need to do some more work. And what I mean there is those lowland streams that run through our commercial properties. in Richmond and in Motueka. And one of the ways of fixing that is to get school groups to adopt a stream, the environmental studies, and get some work done there. I did a lot of work with the probation service in the past where we spent a lot of time cleaning up rivers where people are fly tipping and dropping rubbish. And once you clean it up, people don't keep doing it.
Right.
And that's a big issue.
Should there be some policy that says the water that coming onto your property should be identical quality to it leaving?
Oh, I believe that's imperative. I want to see our water that's great for fishing and for recreational use. If you look at our past, you know, I've got hope to have some grandchildren in the future, and I want to be able to take them trout fishing and catch fish, and that reflects how good our water is. And when you talk to some of our experienced conservationists and people that are around the rivers a lot, they would say the quality of our water is going down, and we need to stop that.
Some say that the water in the Motueka River, particularly parts of it, is excellent and that we should go out of our way to keep it like that.
Well, I was talking to a councillor who's also a fishing guide, and he says we need a management plan for the Motueka River. It's a really, really important resource from the terms of tourism and also for recreation purposes.
Doesn't that river also replenish the aquifer for Motueka water?
As I understand it. So it's really, really important. And look, I spend a lot of time on that river in the summer because I like trout fishing. And it's really important that we look after it because it's a significant resource nationally. So it's well recognised.
You don't hurt the trout, do you?
I take the odd one, but
Okay.
not enough.
Okay.
I'm not like Zane Murphin, who can catch a lot more fish than me.
Okay. All right. We know that the council has made a mess of the management at the Mapua Wharf. We know that the council was taken to court. They were prosecuted. They were found guilty. They were fined. The problem is we all as ratepayers have to pay that fine. That was a terrible way that was managed there.
Oh. Well, look, firstly,
I mean, it's a nice facility, but
we didn't have to build it.
No, I know.
TDC didn't have to build it. That's the first issue, is that I don't believe councils should be in the business of building commercial buildings. That's not part of your core services. And if the land is strategic, keep the land by all means, but let a developer do the building.
But it also creates a conflict of interest because as a property owner and property administrator of others, there's a conflict of interest now.
Well, that's been demonstrated by the fence that they wanted to put up, where clearly they were trying to give an advantage to their leaseholders in their new building over other leaseholders in the area. And that's a conflict of interest that should not happen. And they've been found wanting in court, and it's not a good look. And from my perspective, you can't defend yourself. When you make a mistake like that, the best thing to do is put your hands up, say sorry, and say it won't happen again.
Was there a councillor involved here? Was the staff? Was it the CEO? Was it the mayor?
I believe that it's staff, but the council made a decision to build that building. But certainly the staff have made some errors. And I've spoken at public forum at council, and I spoke at the protest, and I don't believe people have been held accountable for those actions. I've seen an apology from 2 senior managers, but that's all. And you know, I want to know that that sort of thing won't happen again.
Right. We're talking with Kit Mayling. He is a mayoral candidate for the Tasman District Council. We'll take a short break. Back shortly.
Are you looking for a scooter, walker, wheelchair, baby seats or pushchairs? Then come in and see the Nelson Region Specialist at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library. We have a huge selection of scooters, walkers, wheelchairs and accessories, along with a free booklet guide. We also provide a breakdown service if you ever get a puncture or a flat battery. We have fully equipped service vans to rescue you. Hi, I'm Robin Jordan, and I invite you to call in and see the friendly team at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables and much, much more. Jacob.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
Hi, Dave here from Nelson Beds,
And Jesse.
we'd like to invite you all into our showroom here in Quarantine Road. Have a look at what we produce. We do a wide range of beds, bedroom furniture, adjustable beds, both home care style, whereby you may have people that are in a disabled position, or just adjustable beds for your own comfort. We do rustic furniture and bed frames, mattresses.
So with our ranges of bases, you don't just have to go with the standard option. You can go to rollaway drawers. So like this one here, you got a nice big drawer that's not part of the base. It's separate, so it can take plenty of weight. You can put plenty in there, and it just nicely snugs underneath the base. And another option of drawers, instead of being separate rollaways, we also have the roller runner drawers. So these are smaller because they can't take quite as much weight as what the big rollaways can, but just a bit neater, better for clothing, and again, just neatly sit in place.
So come on down and see us at Nelson Beds at 59 Quarantine Road on the way to the airport.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes.
Hi, I'm Colin from Nelson Tire Centre. Come on down for a good deal.
Welcome back. You're watching an Issues Special, where Mainland talks to some of the new candidates in the local body election. Over the coming weeks, we'll be talking to a number of people and give you a chance to get to know some of the new candidates standing in our local councils. My guest is Kit Mailing, and we're talking about other issues, the Southern Link. I know it's in the Nelson area, but it still affects the region as a whole. Where do you sit on the Southern Link?
Well, it's a regional issue, and we need to improve our connections. I came here as a 10-year-old in 1963. We had the same two roads in and out of Nelson then, in 1963, and they had designated a Southern Link before then, and we're still waiting 52 years later. So if you look at the growth that we're getting, it's a problem. And there are a number of ways it can be improved, and I'm not a traffic engineer. You could add an extra lane to Waimea Road by having a model similar to what they did in the Hutt Valley years ago, the old Hutt Road, where you had 2 lanes in the morning and the cones moved in 2 lanes. Movable cones, which is a cheaper option than maybe building a whole new road. But what we need to do is fix what we've got at the moment, because it's adding a half an hour to journeys for businesses during the day each way at the moment.
Do you mean this is in peak times because of the traffic congestion?
Yes, it's just, I've got a client through my business that's got logging trucks, and it's half an hour extra each way. And so from a point of view of productivity for our district, because everything going to the port has got to go through this area.
But also, if traffic is flowing, that's the minimum of pollution. It's trucks stopping, starting in a traffic jam that causes the pollution, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You just, if you're travelling at 20 k's and less in a 50 k zone, and in fact around Rocks Road you're travelling at about 10 k's an hour, it's just terrific.
Someone made the comment to us recently when we were talking about this, that the actual traffic flow would actually in some places improve the air quality, because it would create the big trucks going through create a bit of a draft, and they create a little bit of an air movement. I don't know. Is that a fair comment? I don't know.
I wouldn't know. I'm not qualified to comment on that.
Nor am I. That's why I'm asking the question.
Well, my background is policing rather than being a scientist. But all I know is we need the traffic to be flowing so people can get in and out, and it's not working at the moment. And you can get some funding from government for this. This isn't something, because we're talking state highways here, but it is unlikely that transit will lift the state highway designation off Rocks Road until there is an alternative.
Right, okay. Most people want to leave Rocks Road as it is. It's a picturesque, it's a lovely area, spot. And they don't want it added onto, or and it can't go one way because of the hill, and the other way would wreck the whole area, wouldn't it? Yeah. Debt levels at the TDC, we've seen that as extremely high. There has been a little bit of an improvement there, a long way to go. Where do you stand on debt?
Well, when I was on council from 2010 to 2013, I was the only councillor that voted against their 10-year plan, where they were talking about lifting the debt to a total of 300 million. And I couldn't vote for that. Everyone else did, because what they said was, we put everything else in, you can always take it out. So in other words, you plan for everything, but to me that was going to create an expectation that things would be done.
But that actually takes me on to the next subject I was going to talk about. We'll stay with the debt, but briefly, if you have a major natural disaster and you're at your spending limit...
Oh, you're in trouble.
You're in deep trouble.
Yeah, you are. Look, I think the new chief executive has had a much different attitude to debt than what they had in the past, and he's been there nearly 4 years now. So they are bringing the debt down, but I think it's going to peak at 176 million. Okay.
That's a lot of interest.
It is, but what we also have to do is make sure that it's being spent on the right things. If it's being spent on infrastructure to provide core services and you spread it over time and the asset is going to last a long time, I think that's prudent. But if you're going to spend it on building a commercial building, you won't get any support from me.
Yep.
And you need to bear in mind too that they've got a lot of other assets, and I would have to say, are they all strategic?
At Mapua Wharf, they were like $500,000 over their budget, weren't they?
Well, they spent 1.8 million that they didn't need to spend, and I would have rather seen that spent on stormwater in Motueka, which is at crisis point.
Yep.
So it's pretty simple. What are your priorities? And commercial buildings in Mapua are not priorities for me.
Right. So you're a firm believer of bringing that debt down, but
of course.
Not down to zero, but bringing it down a bit so we've got a buffer for a civil defence or other emergency.
You've got to be prudent in how you manage that debt. You need to balance it against the cost of that debt and spreading the use of assets over generations, because a good example is the stormwater in Queen Street, Richmond. The old drains there have been there for 80 years. So that's what you expect to get out of that asset. You don't expect to pay for it in 5 minutes or in 5 years. You've got to spread that, because otherwise one generation is paying for everything.
The only problem with you get too much into debt is that when you go into debt over a certain thing, you can end up paying 2 or 3 times the value of that.
Oh, that's right. But you can't pay for it all in one go. And that's what the council tried to do with the dam, and the model wasn't going to work.
Right.
So what I say is you have to be prudent and you have to be strategic in your thinking and say, what are our priorities?
Right. Civil defence, how well are we prepared?
Not as well as we could be, but my understanding is it's improved a lot, probably because of the earthquakes in Christchurch.
Yeah.
And I went down there and worked as a volunteer during that operation, and my policing career trained me in civil defence because they sent me away on courses and things like that. But until you actually have a situation like we had in Christchurch, people don't actually do a lot about it. But we've got a number of communities in Tasman that are reasonably self-reliant, and we've had a number of civil emergencies over the last few years. So we're probably better prepared than some other places. I can remember being a senior officer in Christchurch when we had a big snowstorm, and we basically closed the city for half a day. We provided transport for people getting to hospital, so we had to mobilise the four-wheel drive club. And it's a lot harder in cities than it is in rural areas, because rural areas, people have got their own water, they've got their own food, and they generally will have a four-wheel drive, and that makes it a lot better. But in bigger cities, it's a lot more difficult.
Right.
But people, you know, you need to have a plan at home. We have one. We have water, we have canned food, and we have a barbecue and heaters and things like that.
As long as you've got the can opener, you're fine.
You're right.
Okay. The Motueka stormwater has been a problem for a long time. They have put floodgates on the causeway over to Tallies.
Yeah.
That still needs a lot more work though, doesn't it? The whole stormwater project.
Yeah, there's 2 floodgates, and I went to the community council meeting recently, and then I spent a Sunday morning with one of the chairman of their community board going around the hotspots, and there are people in Wilkie Street.
Is that Paul?
Yeah, well, I went with Paul Hawks.
Yeah, nice guy.
Nice guy, and he's got a better handle on it because I don't live in Motueka. I live on the Waimea Plains, and you've got to use the locals that are on the ground. So we spent a couple of hours going around the hot spots and talking to people, and then I listened to what the engineers were saying. It's got to be a priority to fix those real, what I'd call choke points, and we had them in Richmond as well, and they're in a program to fix. But you've got a problem in Poole Street and a problem in Wilkie Street, and then you've also got a problem on the High Street as well.
Right.
Those have got to be priorities, and I'd be spending my money there rather than in other places. Because getting water into your house or into your garage is just unacceptable, especially if it's stormwater. It shouldn't happen, because these areas that have got the real problems aren't brand new areas. They've been there a while.
Do you think some of the newer areas that the infrastructure being put in for them is not sufficient to cater for the extra demand that they're putting into the system?
Well, my understanding is that the stormwater issues have got worse, and we've had a reasonable amount of subdivision happening in Motueka, and there's more to happen. And as part of that, on the Motueka West subdivision development in the long-term plan, there is to be some more storm mains go in, and that will help. But we've got some hot spots that we need to address quickly.
Right. Well, Kit, thank you for coming in today. Great to have a chat with you and hear about what you see as a vision for the future at the TDC. We wish you well with it all. That is an Issues special for today. There'll be more programs coming up over the coming weeks. I'm Gary Watson. Thanks for watching.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson Province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Are you looking for a scooter, walker, wheelchair, baby seats or pushchairs? Then come in and see the Nelson Region Specialist at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library. We have a huge selection of scooters, walkers, wheelchairs and accessories, along with a free booklet guide. We also provide a breakdown service if you ever get a puncture or a flat battery. We have fully equipped service vans to rescue you. Hi, I'm Robin Jordan, and I invite you to call in and see the friendly team at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library.
Hi there, Julian Toon, Waimea Telecommunications. We install and maintain domestic and commercial satellite TV, UHF Freeview and mainland TV installations in the Nelson, Tasman regions. We specialise in Panasonic telephone systems and provide communications, Wi-Fi, IT and wiring for internet, fibre, computers and DSL systems. At Waimea Telecommunications, we also provide specialist electronic systems for features such as a security camera you can watch on your TV, visitor alert systems and much more. Improve your security and communication and entertainment today. Call us on Waimea Telecommunications on 021 472297, ytel.co.nz.
Hi, Dave here from Nelson Beds
And Jesse.
We'd like to invite you all into our showroom here in Quarantine Road. Have a look at what we produce. We do a wide range of beds, bedroom furniture, adjustable beds, both home care style, whereby you may have people that are in a disabled position, or just adjustable beds for your own comfort. We do rustic furniture and bed frames, mattresses.
So with our ranges of bases, you don't just have to go with the standard option. You can go to rollaway drawers. So like this one here, you got a nice big drawer that's not part of the base, it's separate, so it can take plenty of weight. You can put plenty in there, and it just nicely snugs underneath the base. And another option of drawers, instead of being separate rollaways, we also have the roller runner drawers. So these are smaller because they can't take quite as much weight as what the big rollaways can, but just a bit neater, better for clothing, and again, just neatly sit in place.
So come on down and see us at Nelson Beds at 59 Quarantine Road on the way to the airport.